Hello everyone, welcome back on the channel. Guys, I'm Ramkesh Singh, Unity game developer, YouTuber and blogger. So I have done lots of tutorials on every part of game development, like all the devices. So nowadays I'm working on the MetaQuest devices, so I'm sharing videos on it. So today topic is very important topic that people ask me on the masses, and people are searching about it, but there are very less tutorial on the YouTube. So I decided to share that how we can optimize MetaQuest application, which is made on Unity. So in this video we will explore what are the things what we keep in mind and why we need the optimization if we are creating any application in Unity to just release on the Meta store and for the better various tutorials, because I don't want to create one single tutorial that will be a very big and people get bored. So I will just walk through, because there is no any single thing that your application is facing and you just click one button, everything will be sorted. So there are lots of things that you have to do, you have to check, and then you have to perform, then you can optimize your application. In case if you have any application and you want any suggestion, you want that how you can optimize, so you can communicate with me on my Discord channel, or you can just visit my Patreon page. You can visit and take the basic subscription. You can message me, or you want to explore by the way whatever I will share here, so I will provide here, so you can get on a minimal price. Message you can explore, and I will try to help you that how you can optimize your application. So this will be a series, and the playlist name is Optimize Unity VR for MetaQuest. So this is going to be first part, where I will explain the first step what you should do, and also I will explain basic thing, because without basic stuff, if you are going on the YouTube and searching anything and you're watching, so you will not understand lots of things. So for understanding, you must have knowledge of basic, that what you have to see, what you have to understand, what you have to learn. And this is not only for developer, it is also based for artist who is creating Unity scenes and creating the assets. So it is for everyone, means developer and artist, and it is always a race of developer versus artist. So let's start the today video. And if you want to support me, so you can just support my Patreon page, and all the link you will get in the description. So don't forget to watch all the series whenever you will go on the playlist. So on the channel, whenever you will click on the playlist, you will get all the playlist, and you can just explore what we are doing. On the basis of device, you decide what you have to do, because all the device have different capabilities. So this tutorial means there are lots of things that you can utilize for other application, like for the mobile, for the HTC Vive, for the PC, but this is the specific, but there are lots of things that you can utilize on other part of applications, other platform, for the other platform you can utilize. So why we need optimization? So don't worry, I'm not sharing only PPT, I'm also show you that how you can use in your application. So step by step, whatever we will need, I will explain. But first thing, it is important that you understand the basic, that why we need the optimization. So it does not depend that for which platform you are making, but if you are making any application, so there will be a requirement of optimization. So why we need the optimization? So first thing is, if you are launching for Meta store, if you are launching for App Store, if you are launching for Google Play Store, so their store have some requirement, like your application should be smooth. So for smoothness, they give a particular number, particular FPS target, so you have to meet that. For the Meta store, if your fps is getting 72 or 90 fps, depends on application. So minimum it should be 72 fps. So at that time they accept your application, otherwise it will be most chance that your application will be rejected. And soon I got one developer message, I don't know how he got my WhatsApp number. So he was sending me, and he just released one application on the Meta store, and his application got rejected. So he messaged me, and what he was making mistake I am sharing with you. He was just tested on the Unity, and in Unity if you are just testing, so you will not get a exact idea. If you want to see the what is your fps, so you have to run on the device, you have to check that in device, not with the Oculus link. Make sure that you are not checking with the Oculus link. Oculus link is just only for to run your application in quick way, you can just debug easily. But if you want to real performance, so at that time you have to run your application on the Meta Quest device. It is maybe your Meta Quest 2, 3 or Pro. It may be any device, but you have to run on the device. On device you have to check. So what he was making mistake, he was running in the Unity, and he was sure that he is getting that much fps, and he released. So after that he just got rejected, so he messaged me. So I advised him to just run one application I will share after a moment. So I advise him, so he run there, and then after that he optimized, and when he touched the 72, so he released that application. So that is not only single way, there are lots of things that because 72 is just number, but there are lots of thing is going on, so you have to understand that thing. So the first reason you understand why I'm saying this. The second reason is, in VR it is really very hard that you expending lots of time to play. So if you want a better experience that people use for uh, for a lot time, so at that time your application experience should be a very smooth. And why I'm saying this, because if your application is giving 10 fps, so at that time your player will be run in slow motion, and that will be create the motion sickness, so that will create issue. So at that time what you have to do, you have to optimize your fps, and if there is 72 fps, so your player will have good experience. And enhance the visual quality. And in the Meta it is really hard to get the visual very better way, means a lot of visual quality. But if you are optimizing your application, so if you are knowing that what is your GPU is taking, what is your CPU is taking, so you are knowing that what the scope are your enhancements. So if you are doing the optimization, so there will be a chance that you improve your visual quality. Okay. And fourth thing is, uh, it is also related to Meta store, as well as it is also related to user experience, because there is no any store that want their user face issue in their application. So battery and thermal efficiency. So for according to Meta store, if you are running your application around uh, 30 to 45 minutes, and if your application is getting very heat, so at that time they will also reject your application. So what you have to do, you have to make sure that your application is not getting heat. So for that, what you have to do, I will share in just future, but make sure that you have not missing anything whatever I'm sharing with you, because it is really implemented. I have experience with this. I have experience with this thing. So if you are missing anything, you are going to face issue. So make sure that you are following everything. So in mobile device, you have to also check that your mobile is not getting hit, because what happens when your device will be get hit, so there are lots of issue, like your charging will be down very fast, and user will just face the heat thing. And due to this, what may be possible that your FPS get drop, because it try to just make the thermal thing, and on that process your FPS started dropping. And in some cases if it is very high, so your application may get crash. So you don't want, so you have to follow everything that what you can do. And if there is anything you are optimizing, you are sharing, so you can also let me know in the comment box. It will really help to understand other people what technique you are optimizing, because one technique always not varied for all the application. So it vary, but if you are sharing your experience, so it will really help us. So let's move further, and the next is GPU bound versus CPU bound. So if you are optimizing for anything, so these terms are very common, so you have to understand and you will utilize for all your platform. But for the Meta Quest devices, the most common thing is GPU bound, and I have written the CPU, so it should be CPU. So whenever you are working with the VR devices, so most probably what happens, it is become the GPU bound, because people try to achieve much more visual quality. Due to this, they use lots of textures, lots of things that create problem for GPU. So there are also standard uh, thing that will also share for MetaQuest 2, MetaQuest 3 on their website. I will also share in this series, so don't worry, but just understand what I'm currently sharing. So it is a very common thing. And what is the GPU bound? So if GPU is taking a very long time to complete one frame, so at that time it is called GPU bound. And CPU bound, if CPU is taking a longer time to complete one frame, so it is taking CPU bound. Why I'm saying that it is taking longer time? Because every frame, like if like you can say there is a one frame, and that one frame is taking 15 ms. So if your GPU is taking 16 ms, so there will be no any scope of CPU. So CPU is wait that GPU complete their task, and then CPU will start working. So at that time it is called GPU bound. And in case if CPU is busy in the something, like you have write a code which is taking CPU time and GPU is waiting, so at that time it will become the CPU bound. So most probably it is the GPU bound. After the GPU bound, you can optimize the CPU bound. So you cannot assume that it is GPU bound or CPU bound. For knowing that what is CPU bound, means your application is CPU bound or GPU bound, you have to perform many tests, and then you have to start your application to optimize. But before you want to use many tools like Unity Profiler, OVR tool, you have to understand the basic thing. And what is the basic thing? So this is the first basic thing. And second basic thing is, because Unity Profiler as well as OVR tool, they provide things in the MS. So that is very important that you understand this part, because it is a very important. So if we talk about the MetaQuest devices, so it is based on 72 fps, 90 fps, sometimes it is mobile, so it is 60 fps. So whenever you see the Unity Profiler, so that thing show on the basis of one frame, and in one frame how much time it is taking to complete the one frame. So you have to understand the basic calculation. And just tell me, what is the 72 fps? So 72 fps is like in 1 second 72 times your device is getting updated, your application is getting updated. Okay, so same with the 9 fps, 60 fps means 1 second 60 times. So for the you have to, what you have to see, what you have to calculate, you have to calculate that for the one frame, if it is 72, if it is 90, so for the one frame how much time it is taking. So this is the basic unit. Like for the 1 second, how many millisecond are there? So for the 1 second it is 1000 millisecond is there, so we represent in ms. Okay, so this is the basic formula. Frame time equal to 1000 divided by target fps. What is give? It gives the ms per frame, like in one frame how much time it takes. So let's suppose if you are targeting your device for the 72 fps, so for the 72 fps per frame, like one frame will take how much time it should be, means how much target it should be 1000 divided by 72, so it will be 13.89 ms per frame. Okay, so this is the time, like one frame is taking 13.89 ms per frame. Okay, so hope you got this thing. And let's suppose you are targeting your any mobile device, so if it is 60 fps, so what will be the per frame? So per frame time taking is not, it is 72, it will be 60, so it will be around 16.67 ms per frame. So after this thing, you will understand if you are performing with Unity Profiler, because Unity Profiler is little complicated, and most of developer, most of artists does not understand what is the meaning of 16.67 ms per frame, because they try to see the 60 fps. So this is the basic thing, because profiler show in ms and for the one frame. Okay, so for the 90 frame, you just calculate and let me know in the comment box what will be this value. You just calculate for the 120 fps, and you just calculate for fps per time. And what you can notice thing, because it is 60 fps, means it is the lower the fps, and you can see it is the higher the ms, like 60.67 ms per frame. And here is 72, means it is greater than 60, and this value is, you can see 13.89, means it is less than 60. So if you are going with 120, so ms will be less. If you are going with the 500 fps, so your ms will be very less. So this calculation is very important. So you have understand the basic thing. Now what should be your target device? If you are working with the MetaQuest, so it may be MetaQuest 2 or MetaQuest 3 or Pro. So this device capabilities is really different. Like MetaQuest is lower head and it is higher, and Pro is also higher. So whatever you are getting the value for the MetaQuest, so you have to make sure that 30 to 40% value you are getting in the MetaQuest 2 device. Okay, why I'm saying values? Because I'm going to share with you lots of values, so you have to see, you have to understand what I'm talking about. So because MetaQuest capability is around much more higher than MetaQuest 2, so whenever you are checking the parameters for the optimization, so you have to consider that whatever you are getting the value in MetaQuest 3, it will be around 30 to 40% less, and whatever you are seeing the value in MetaQuest 2, so in MetaQuest 3 it will be higher, 30 to 40%. So with the time, maybe they launch most powerful device in the VR, so this value will be also differ. So you have to see that what are the capabilities of these devices. I've just opened my MetaQuest 3 device, and here I have opened, this is the MetaQuest developer hub. So basically I'm sharing my screen, and there is also one thing, performance analyzer. So if you want to see lots of data, so you can also analyze here, but I am sharing with you that you can install your OVR 2 application in your device, so you can directly see there. You have to not connect here, but I'm just connecting because I wanted to show you that what are the things is visible. So here you can see this data is visible, and how you will get this thing and how you can install the application. So let me show you those data. So whenever you will search, you can see I have already installed OVR matrix tool, and you have to install this one. So I have already installed, and here you can see on my device you are able to see that it is showing FPS, that is showing 90 stale, CPU L, GPU L, CPU U, GPU U. I will explain everything what are these things, but whenever you are going to open this one, so just open. So first thing, you have to go here and enable persistence overlay whenever you want to turn on in your device. And if you want to show the graph, so you can show, but currently I'm showing the graph, but it is average FPS and GPU time. And here are the stats, so you can choose which stat you want to show. So these are the stats, And I really love this because you are able to see in your device directly whatever it is running. But if you want to use the MetaQuest developer hub, so that is also a great tool, so there is no any issue. And you can also choose from anyone. Okay, so that's great, but there are a few points that you have to see. uh, Means it is really depends on your requirement. So but I'm sharing the basic stuff, like what you can see in your device. You can see on the basis of what I'm choosing, it is showing the data. If you want basic, so it will show this data, will give the values, and there are lots of values. And the basic I'm sharing, and you can say it is not, it is just name the basic, but it is a very advanced, and it is the important parameter that you have to consider. It will look like similar in your application. So there is important parameter. I will also sharing the link. You have to go and visit. You will get all the details. What are this thing? I'm sharing the FT. Basically, it represents the FT. Here you can see this is the FT. Basically, it tells you that how your GPU utilization is having. So here you can see it is giving 4694. It means it is giving 4.6 ms. So it is green, so it is also great. But if there will be any problem, so it will be get red. So if your value is, like if you are targeting your 72 fps, so your target is 13.89 ms per frame. And if your FT is coming, like there was value, on the basis of that value I'm saying to you, like what was the FT value. So if it is 4696, 4694, so if it is 4694, and if you are converting in ms, so it will be around 4.6 ms. So basically from the 13.89 ms, it is taking 4.6 ms. Means your GPU is great, means it is not creating a very big problem. It is great because after the decreasing this value, you will have around 9 ms frame value. So there your CPU will perform very better way. So that's why you can see most of parameter is looking great. And in the, why they share this thing, because in the MetaQuest devices it is a very common that you become the GPU bound, but currently it is okay, so there is no any issue. And this is the FPS. There is FPS, basically it show the average FPS. So it is okay that if it is 72, if it is 90, so it is okay. And here is CPU and GPU utilization. So in this photo everything is looking great, everything is green, there is no any issue. But in some scenario it will be get everything red, like you are getting 36 fps, FT is getting 11,000, 12,000, 15,000, or sometimes 25,000. So at that time it is really disasters for your application. So this is the CPU and GPU. Basically it give in the percentage, like here you can see CPU and GPU. CPU means it is getting utilized 10%, GPU utilization is around 51%. So it is also great, there is no any issue. And here is a stale. So stale means like if you are getting around 50 fps and some fps is not able to get here, so it will show you in the stale like how many fps. Sometimes it is 10, 12, but if it is 0 or 1, so that is great. But if there will be much more value, so it will create problem. So here you can see there is a stale value, currently it is 0, and that's why we are getting 72 fps. Sometimes if you will get 12 or 13, so this will be less, so you will get lesser fps. Here there are few things that I want to tell you, that is the CPU L, you can say CPU L and GPU L. This is a very important because here I told you battery and thermal efficiency. So if you are, if you, your GPU L and GPU L, here you can see CPU L and there will be somewhere GPU L. So if here you can see GPU L, if it is most probably means most of chance, if it is going 4 4, so at that time your device will be get very heat and your battery will discharge very soon. So what you can do, you can just change this value by runtime, because you can just fix those value, but you have to be aware about that if you are going to fix, and if there will be lots of CPU and GPU utilization, so at that time your application may get crash. So if it is possible that you optimize your application and your CPU L and GPU L is going 2 or 3, so it is great. But if it is not going, if it is hitting, so you can change this value by using the code. Means you can tell CPU and GPU L that you have to not run on the full potential, you have to run on the medium, you have to run on the lower. So you have to see that how you can manage these values and test your application. You have to run your application and see what value are working with your application. If there will be a simple application, so that will be okay changing the value. But if there will be something disaster, your CPU and GPU utilization, in that case your application may get crash. So these are the things experimental, and there are few much more values, but currently these are the basic. If you know this value, so you can figure out that what's going on in your application. And this is the OVR tool, and it is really very important. So first step will be your OVR matrix tool. In further we will talk about the Unity profiler and how we will run normal and deep analysis in the Unity as well as in the device. So in the Unity you will get the basic idea, but if you want to know the accurate idea, so you will have to connect your device with the Unity, and then you have to run and see what are the values are coming. So we will cover this thing in next part. And if you are learn something, so please like the video and let me know in the comments that how your performance is going on, what you are doing for optimization. And if you have any questions, so just let me know in the comment box. So after completion of this series, I will also provide this details on my Patreon page on a minimal price, so you can just grab from here. And there are also a few projects that I have completed the series, so I have provided here. If you want to check out, so you can check out here. So thanks for watching, have a good day, see you in next video, bye bye, take care.